Welcome to the Guthrie Family Podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Hayley.
And today we're going to be talking about something that you may not want your children to listen to. So if you listen to this with your family, we appreciate it. But today's going to be an episode that we're going to be talking about some of the things that's going on. And we're going to be talking about the over-sexualization of children. And you guys probably know where we're going with that. We're going to be talking about Netflix's original series, Cuties. You're listening to the Guthrie Family Podcast, a podcast where we encourage you in raising your kids and inspire you to grow in your relationships. We're your hosts. I'm Danny.
And I'm Hayley. Join us as we love, encourage, and grow. Okay, so we don't normally talk about sensitive topics like this because we do want this to be a family show, but we think this is particularly relevant because we are very sensitive about children and issues with children and families.
And obviously we have a lot of them, and right. we have 4 girls. I have a 16-year-old girl, we have a 14-year-old girl, a 5-year-old girl, and a 3-year-old girl. So this is this really impacts our family a great deal, and we know that it probably impacts your family also. The hashtag's going around, cancel Netflix, and but we would really want to look at it from a perspective as how did we get here?
Right.
Like how did we get to where this is
how did we get to the point that that Netflix felt like it was okay to even put this on and that people would watch it? So we have come to this climate in our country and really in our world, where we are lowering our standards daily for what we're allowing our children to be a part of, to see, to listen to. And do what now?
Who's influencing them?
Correct. What we really want to talk about today is how we got here. And how do we as Christian parents deal with this with our children and address this with our children? So we believe really how we've gotten here is we have slowly but surely allowed ourselves to watch things and to listen to things that have influenced us as well as our children. So I am amazed when I hear people talking about things sometimes that they let their kids listen to. Now, I am not a prude, and our kids do not just listen to K-Love. But there are some songs out there that are offensive, just the name of the song. And I really don't even want to go into it because I don't really want to glorify these people, honestly, and bring attention to them. I don't think most of you probably know what I'm talking about. But there are people that are letting their kids listen to this, letting their kids watch music videos. And I'm going to be honest with you about that. For years, probably since it came out, my parents did not let me watch MTV. And there's a reason for that. I mean, at the time I thought, oh, well, why don't they let me watch this? But now looking back and seeing that and seeing how it's influenced us in our world, I mean, everybody feels like these things are okay. And this is the way that we as women should introduce ourselves or should be. And this could not be farther from the truth as far as Christians go. Now, it is not wrong to be attractive. I'm not even going to
look at me.
But the way that we present ourselves, really, why is it that we're not presenting ourselves like classy women and we're presenting ourselves like trash? I always have told my girls, if you look like trash, people are going to treat you like trash.
That's absolutely right.
And so we are very careful, what we let our girls wear. And sometimes, even with their athletic clothing, I get a little uncomfortable with it, just the length of the shorts and things like that. But basically what we've come to the point with Christianity is we haven't drawn the line on what is acceptable and what's not.
Right. And we haven't, even before now, we haven't come out and said, to these companies that are putting this stuff out that, hey, if you're going to put this type of content out, we're not going to subscribe to you. We're not going to listen to you. We're not going to play your music. We're not going to play your channel, and really, because the only thing that's going to change it for them is money.
Right.
And more than likely, they're probably funded by some people that agree with that. But as far as us, as far as we go, Netflix, cancel Netflix has been a huge hashtag, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's sending a message to these companies that may be Netflix, may not be Netflix, that's saying that this is too far. We're not going to tolerate this. We don't want to see this. And we're not going to allow you to over-sexualize our children. Because one of the things that the modeling industry did years ago that I thought was actually really good, they started having a problem with eating disorders in young girls because they were trying to look like these supermodels. Mm-hmm. And, they brought about the more natural looking women as models, which I think was a great thing. And now it's very common to see, just real looking people as far as models go. And I think that's one of the things that we need to begin to lead into as far as modesty goes also, is that, hey, real people don't dress like this. Real people don't act like this.
And when real people do, it's usually not very attractive.
Yeah, and it's not saying much for their character.
Right.
So, we're just kind of here to say, we think it's a good idea to probably cancel Netflix. We think that our kids growing up in this over-sexualized world is a bad thing, but the only way that we're going to change it, the government's not going to change it for us. These companies are not going to change it for us. The only thing that's going to change it is us stepping up and standing up and saying, hey, we're not going to tolerate that. We're not going to listen to it. We're not going to watch it. And we wonder why, there's a huge sex trafficking issue going on. It's because this stuff is becoming more and more accepted. And we just need to put a stop to it. If our children matter, which they do, and if our children are the next generation that's going to come up and it's going to run this nation, we need to be setting good examples for them. One of the things I think is beginning to be lost is morality. And you can see that especially going on now. Morality as far as sexuality goes, morality as far as life goes. And, it's just beginning to deteriorate. And I think this is a great time in our history and in our nation for there to be a separation for us to stand up, conservatives or and there's other people who may not have as much of a conservative outlook as we have, but still disagree with over-sexualizing our children.
Well, one thing we need to cut off with our kids, I believe, is access to some of this stuff. So one of the biggest things that I'm seeing here is that these kids, I can't hardly stand to see even the small snippets that I've seen from this movie because it's disgusting to me. But what they're doing is they're imitating what they see.
Right.
So what people have allowed their children to see, they're copying. And so what we need to do as parents, as Christian parents, is to limit what our kids are around. And here's why. They are at a very impressionable age, up until 20. But you slowly can open the door to allow them to see certain things. And it's very limited. And I'm just going to tell you, sex is should not be a part of a kid's vocabulary until they are old enough to be basically old enough to be in puberty. Puberty is when this is an appropriate topic to bring it about. And then it needs to be brought about not by television, not by TV shows, but by your parents in a Christian way. There's a lot of different resources as far as that goes. And then at that point in time, the way that it's presented by the world is a very casual thing. It's just not a big deal. And here's the reality. Sex is a big deal.
Yeah.
Sex outside of marriage is a big deal. And it changes who you are when you do it.
Right.
And I'm not here to say my kids are going to be perfect or that my kids have never seen anything they shouldn't have seen on YouTube or whatever. What I'm here to say is it's not because I'm allowing it.
Right. and you just need to be really, really careful.
Really careful. And you've got to know your children and to know when they're accountable enough to have this social media input. And I'm going to be really honest with boys. I don't know when that's going to be with them. And I don't know, even with my big girls, we don't take phones to our rooms at night. Everything's plugged in down here. You're looking at stuff where everybody else is. There is no secrecy on your phone. This is my phone, and I will look at it whenever I want to. And you're going to be down here around other people. This is not something we're going to secretively go to our room and look at. And I'm not even saying our girls would do that, but I don't even want to give them the opportunities, because once you open that door and your kid gets just a little taste of that, there's an attraction there.
And it's everywhere.
curiosity.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
We cut our cable off many years ago. It's probably been over 10 years ago now. A long time ago, because it seems like every commercial that was coming on was pushing an agenda, or it was, it was
talking about, it's always all of them talking about sexual dysfunction and menstrual cycles and things like that, and things that your kids really, why are we talking about this in front of our 5 and 6 and 7-year-old? This is so
on the
inappropriate.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, right. So we cut it off a long time ago. We have had Netflix, and the kids part has been great, for the most part. I mean, there's still some things I think was kind of weird on there,
right.
But I'm just going to say this about Netflix and YouTube and all that. They've had bad stuff for a long time. There's
right.
been a lot of things that we've started and said, we just cannot watch this. We can't even this is terrible. We don't even want to watch this.
Right.
I don't know where TVMA came from, but it is this broad range of sometimes pornographic material that we just have no desire. You get the point where you're like, I don't want to hear the language. I don't want to see this, because whatever you put in your mind, you can't get it out.
Right. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
So you need to be very careful about what your kids are watching. Are we going to fix this? I don't know. I don't know where we're going. I know the way it's looking like where we're going is not good, and we probably won't fix it. But at least as Christians or conservatives or people who have morals, which I'm not saying only Christians and conservative has morals. I'm saying if you're a person with morals, this is just not right. And you can stand up by cutting it off. You can stand up by saying, hey, this is unacceptable. And, I think another one of our failures is you always hear the term, especially nowadays, the silent majority. Well, I think in some things we shouldn't be so silent. It took a lot for me and Hayley to decide to make this video because we don't necessarily want to be controversial, but there's a point as moral people that we have to stand up and say, you know what? I'm not going to be silent about this anymore. This is unacceptable. I'm going to stand up for our kids. I'm going to stand up for, those who can't necessarily stand up for themselves. And I'm going to tell you that this is wrong and we shouldn't be doing this. And this kind of stuff shouldn't be put out. The sex trafficking that's going on, everybody's known about that for a while, but we need to stand up and say, this is unacceptable. And when people are caught, sex trafficking, there needs to be harsh penalties, because when you have really harsh penalties, people tend not to do that anymore. Well,
the other thing that, as far as Christians go, one of the ways that we've gotten here is that pornography has been so big on the internet, and the progression of that, the more you allow yourself to see, the more you want to see, the less that satisfies you.
Right.
And I really feel like that is where our culture, we started with just pornography and people saying, oh, I can just look at this and it's okay. It's not okay.
Right.
And if you're looking at that stuff at home, in your quietness of your house, in some secret way, you're a part of the problem, because that is unacceptable for us as moral people, as Christians. We are supporting and we're sexualizing women more and more. And as women, we've got to stand up and quit allowing it. Quit feeling like you've got to look like a rap star or a Barbie or whatever it is that we're dressing like. I don't know, because obviously I don't keep up with the trends, but I just don't understand why we want to look that way and present ourselves that way, because no one is ever going to take us seriously. And we're teaching our kids that it's okay, and I'm not saying it's wrong to be sexy for your husband, but most of that needs to be in your bedroom. I'm just going to be honest with you. It just needs to be where other people are not seeing it. And you're presenting yourself if you're presenting yourself as trash, people are going to treat you like trash.
That's right.
I say that to my kids all the time. So our personal responsibility is to stay away from this stuff, to stay away from the pornography, to stay away from supporting and watching things that are putting bad things into our minds, and also to stay away from things and supporting things that are promoting this. And then also, just as ourselves and our family, keep your family safe. that is something you do have control over, is what your family does and what your family watches.
So give us a comment down below if you're going to cancel Netflix or not. There's been, the hashtag cancel Netflix has been going around. You've been seeing it a lot on Instagram and Facebook. And, this is a great way, I believe, for us to stand up. There's a lot of times, and we've been guilty of this. If it doesn't personally affect you, you're like, it'll be okay. Somebody else do that. Somebody else will do whatever needs to be done. But the truth is that we need to stand up. There's a huge group of moral people in this, in the United States and in the world that know and feel that this is something that we can't stand for. So let it be your problem. If we don't stand up and start saying that we're not going to tolerate this, it's never going to get any better. The spiral is down. And the only way it's going to come back up is if we start leading people to Christ and start sharing Christ with people and start loving on people. Thanks for listening today. I know this podcast has been a little bit different, but we wanted to address this issue and kind of give you our input that we think that we need to be heard, and not us need to be heard. Moral and Christian people need to be heard, and the way that happens is by standing up and by making a stand and by saying that I'm not going to allow this into my home. I'm not going to buy albums, or I'm not going to buy certain things off of Amazon Music if you're supporting this type of thing. We're just going to ban it. We're going to cut it off. We're not going to support it. And I would encourage you to stand up. It may be a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe because you cancel Netflix, you don't get to see your favorite show anymore. It is a very small price to pay for standing up for your children. So give us a comment below. Let us know if you're going to cancel Netflix or not. And you can go check out our blog at GuthrieFamily.blog. At the bottom of those pages, you can become a member. We would love for you to become a member of our community, and subscribe. We would love for you to subscribe. So thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.